who and they're in an industry, so I won't. But I've asked them about it because they used to come into my show with at the other station, like with beverages and stuff, and I'd be like, "Are you like, no, I know, this is who I am. It's part of their personality."
I know a person like that.
Well, in comedy, we know a lot of people.
I'm sure.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Politics also.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I'll keep those names secret until the book comes out. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm not joking.
I don't want to leave Dave. I know, I got a book too. And I had one publisher say we don't have enough money for the lawsuits this thing would bring.
You get the lawyer first.
I know, I got to get the lawyer first. They did. They said we don't have enough money for this.
You get the lawyer first.
Let's get to Dave out in Hoffman Estates. My apologies, Dave. I got off on a tangent. How are you doing, Dave?
Hey, Patty.
Hey.
And yes.
Hello.
Hello there, Dwayne and Ken.
Hey.
Do any of you three believe that after 2028, that this Trumpism or MAGAism is going to be dried up like an old rose of the fall?
Depends.
It depends.
It depends on the next 2 years. I mean, really, the first 2 years, I'll know in 2026 better how some of this might shake out for MAGA. But I don't see, I think what we struggle with is, and someone just texted this, is that we are reasonable. And we assumed there were more reasonable people in the country, and there aren't. Well, reasonable in the sense that they would vote, and that they would vote for
I think a lot of us on the left are so focused on MAGA, which is a horrible thing, but I think our issue is people will not get off of the couch to vote against someone.
Right.
So regardless of how horrible, because I've gotten into these Facebook, social media spats where people are like, but Ken, the Republicans, it's like, I don't care about the Republicans. I'm a Democrat. So I'm more worried about how we can fix what we've done and build and grow. So until we collectively as the left, or if we're calling ourselves liberals, Democrats, whatever we are, get out of the mindset of trying to get people to vote against someone and to vote for us,
right,
we're not going to succeed.
Right.
And we're still, and I still see it, folks are like, well, Trump is horrible. Great. That's awesome. What are we doing? So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, Dave?
Okay, the reason
Sorry, Dave.
No apologies.
The reason I ask this is because Nazism has been around for about 100 years now.
Right.
And that's poison, and now this guy set the feed with this one, and I think about some of the younger ones coming up, the ones that will be of, say, voting age, and that come 28, and then because of the fact you get those with the rule, truth isn't true type of stuff, and now we see, Trump is dodging all of these, continuances, and dirty as dirt, but he's not going to be going to jail or even pay the price for it.
Dave, I have to take a break. But I don't want to end this conversation because you struck a nerve with me, and not a nerve, but just elicited a thought, and I have to remember it after the news. Do you mind hanging on? Because you said something about Nazism being around for 100 years, and it overlaps with something else that happened, and a lot of things. White supremacy is just so much fun. Let me take a break here, Dave. Hold on, I want to come back to that thought and what you're talking about, and also what happens next. What do we think is going to happen in 2028? Folks, if you want to join the conversation, 773-763-9278 is the number to join me, Ken Mejia Beal, and Dwayne Kennedy. Dwayne's got one more hour before he's got to race over to the Lincoln Lodge, where he'll be performing at 8 o'clock. That's thelincolnlodge.com for ticket information. He'll be performing tonight and tomorrow night. And let's take a break and continue our conversation when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal.
Driving under the influence of marijuana is illegal, and law enforcement officers can tell when you're driving high. If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high, get a DUI. Paid for by NHTSA.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. The state of Texas is suing a New York doctor for prescribing abortion pills to a woman near Dallas. Ed Donahue has more.
This is one of the first challenges to shield laws passed in Democrat-controlled states to protect doctors after Roe v. Wade was overturned. The lawsuit accuses New York doctor Margaret Daly Carpenter of violating Texas law by providing the drugs through telemedicine to a Texas patient. They are seeking up to $250,000. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, a Republican, said the 20-year-old woman who received the pills ended up in a hospital with complications. New York Attorney General Letitia James, a Democrat, said she would continue to defend reproductive freedom from out-of-state anti-choice attacks. Texas bars abortion at all stages of pregnancy and has been one of the most aggressive states at pushing back against abortion rights. I'm Ed Donahue.
The consulting firm McKinsey & Company has agreed to pay $650 million to settle a federal investigation into its work to help Purdue Pharma boost sales of the highly addictive drug OxyContin. And bank groups are suing the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau over a rule limiting overdraft fees. Overseas, exuberant Syrians observed the first Friday prayers since the ouster of President Bashar Assad. Meanwhile, an American freed from a Syrian prison has left the country.
A U.S. official says Travis Timmerman was aboard an American military helicopter leaving Syria. The 29-year-old from Missouri had disappeared 7 months ago into Syria's notorious prison system before being among thousands released this week by rebels who seized control of the capital. It's unclear where Timmerman may go next. Another person familiar with the matter says Timmerman has said he'd like to stay in the region. Sagar Magani, Washington.
And Russia carried out a massive aerial assault against Ukraine's energy sector. This is AP News. The NFL is into Week 15. So how would you describe a game with no touchdowns scored? That was the challenge to Ryan Leong with an NFC West matchup last night.
In a battle of field goals, the Rams kicked 2 more than the 49ers and beat San Francisco 12-6. The win helps Los Angeles move a half game behind division-leading Seattle. Matthew Stafford was 16 of 27 for 160 yards.
We have opportunity to keep our season alive every single time we go out there and play, and that's a whole lot of fun. And I think our team showed we can win football games kind of any way you want in about a 4-day span. So we got to continue to get better. By no means was it a great performance by us as an offense tonight, but, man, that was some good team football.
Meanwhile, the 49ers loss dropped them to 6-8. While mathematically still alive, they are likely not going to the playoffs. In the loss, Brock Purdy was 14 of 31 for 142 yards. Ryan Leong, Santa Clara.
And I'm Ben Thomas, AP News. Thanks for listening.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Cloudy tonight, a low temperature of 25 degrees with southeast winds at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Rain on Saturday with a high temperature of 38 and southeasterly winds at 15 to 30. Sunday, rain likely and a little bit of patchy fog with a high of 45 degrees. Monday, rain likely with a high of 51. Tuesday, sunny with a high temperature around 40. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 28.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. In the midst of World War II, the 200th and 515th Coast Artillery Companies from New Mexico stood resolute against overwhelming odds. Composed largely of Hispanic soldiers, these brave men were stationed in the Philippines, where they faced the brutal onslaught of Japanese forces. Despite their lack of supplies, American and Filipino forces managed to fight the Japanese for 3 months. However, this was not a victory for the American and Filipino forces. As the American Army surrendered in Bataan, the U.S. and Filipino prisoners of war were forced into the infamous Bataan Death March. A grueling 65-mile forced trek under the scorching sun, marked by extreme deprivation and harsh treatment. Sadly, 829 men were never able to return home. New Mexico's Veterans of the Bataan Death March are honored each spring with the annual White Sands Bataan Death March Marathon. People from all around the world join together in the desert at the White Sands to participate in the anniversary of one of the most tragic casualties of World War II. This has been a WCPT Veteran Minute.
Chicago's progressive talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing ass says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
That is the intro music that was performed, written, and all the things by Steve Goody, who is working on a new theme song for us as we head into the next 4 years. He also has written a theme song for new segments called Am I Crazy? The wonderful giggles that you hear behind me are on the air is Ken Mejia Beal, who is the treasurer for Youth Outlook. Go to youth-outlook.org.
Excellent.
And
give us some money.
Well, it's a good. I mean, this is when folks, especially the holiday season.
Yeah, we need it.
We need it, and we need families to feel supported. We need people who are coming out to their families at the holidays, perhaps. I have a family member who came out to us during the holiday season.
Beautiful.
And it was, and then we hugged them, and they said they were very dramatic, and then they wanted it to be over. It was the way this relative they draped a bi flag on the Christmas tree to let everyone know.
Oh, got it.
They were like, here's who I am, and we were like, oh, and we all hugged them, and they were like, okay, the moment's over. And I was like, this is the most Irish Mexican thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Love it. Love it.
It's like, and so at any rate, just folks, and not every family is like ours.
No.
So please support the work they do at Youth Outlook. Go to youth-outlook.org.
Thank you.
And for good laughs, for a good time, and to enjoy the company from a distance of Dwayne Kennedy.
Boundaries.
No, I'm just teasing.
That's always conditional too.
Right, it is, isn't it? Like,
some people want to stay on there. Some people are like, oh,
yeah. It's by choice. Right. Dwayne will be at the Lincoln Lodge on Milwaukee Avenue. That is thelincolnlodge.com for ticket information. That is thelincolnlodge.com. And the address is 2040 North Milwaukee Avenue. If you want to call them, you can call them at 773-251-1539. And don't forget, if you have any questions about anything that I'm sharing, you can always text us at 773-763-9278. And that's the same number you can call on, which our friend Dave from Hoffman Estates, I asked him to hold on. Oh, hi to our friends listening on KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota. In the last hour, our friend Dave from Hoffman Estates called and was talking about. We asked us whether or not we thought what's going to happen to Republicans or MAGA in 2028. I think that the consensus is it depends on a lot of factors. In particular, if we're able to have safe, free elections in 2026.
Well, that too.
That part right there. And then Dave, you mentioned that Nazism has been around for about 100 years. And I was talking to my guests, Dwayne Kennedy and Ken Mejia Beal, about how that kind of overlaps. The rise of Nazism kind of collides with or is in conjunction with the disassembly of colonialism around the world, whether it's England and France, all the places where they'd had a stranglehold, and the cultures that had kind of been born under oppression. It was a very tumultuous time. So you have then white people around the world like, well, I thought we were in charge kind of mentality or energy, and not all white people. That's the thing is I know when people get upset, I was like this whole idea of I wasn't. We're talking about the history that's happening in real time,
and it's a system that's put in place by a few that the many benefit from.
Correct.
So that's the thing. It's a few of the Europeans who put a system in place that following Europeans can then benefit from.
I always say if when you make a generalization like that, the person that says, but not I, it's kind of like, well, maybe it is you. Because, and the reason I say this, I have so many friends that will say, oh, men are trash. I've never once gone, excuse me, I'm great It's like, okay, well, some men are. I get it.
Right.
Like,
that's a really good point.
Yeah, it's like, you're not talking about me.
Right.
Well, because you're listening with empathy. I think that we've talked about this before. You know that person's been through some things.
Right.
And so you're there for them. Like, I never get the sense from either one of you when I share a story that like, well, maybe you took it the wrong. Like always that person, like maybe you took it the wrong way or that kind of thing.
I think sometimes some story you say is like, man, that has been me.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've been that. So I can't get on my sanctimonious high. Well, how can you? Oh,
yeah.
Well, I think it's a special kind of a-hole that centers themselves in everything.
Right.
Yes.
And when you don't center yourself, it's like, oh, well, yes, this is what the world view is.
Yep. Right.
It has nothing to do with me.
Right.
Yep.
But
Dave, you're still on the line. Dave, are you there? Yeah. So that's what I wanted to come. I wanted to come back to was when you asked. You mentioned the rise of Nazism over 100 years ago, and again, like some of the things that we've seen and just doesn't click for folks is manipulating emotions, harnessing rage, using propaganda, othering people, diminishing people, marginalizing them. And the thing is, we know that there are so many people who deny the Holocaust, but what's crazy about that, they either deny it or say that Hitler didn't go far enough. Like, what? I can't. What is it? Right, Dave?
And you can't even pick which one is worse.
Right.
No. Right. Anyway.
Well, in 2016 in Charlottesville, I believe they march looked a bit like Hitler's brown shirt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, and they said, what were they chanting? Do you remember what they were chanting?
I don't.
Jews will not replace us.
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah. How? I mean, like, what? How? How are we here again?
Well, I just saying that, that will make it a lot of the time. Well, can't wait till 28. Can't wait till 28. How do we know? I mean, some of our so-called leaders now didn't stand up to, all these like the Dick Durbins and all these people that feel pretty safe. They didn't stand up when they could have been counted, to go up against this, during the campaign season.
Right.
We're going to count on these people again.
Right. I wonder this though.
Who are the young Turks who got coming up that want to voice an opinion?
I will say this.
That's right.
Because it's something you're saying, Dave, and it's also something Patty you just mentioned. Is how are we back here?
Yeah.
And I honestly believe we are back here not because of the wrongs in the world. I believe I believe 20% of the world's population are probably really bad people. Mm-hmm. And I believe 20% of the world's population are probably really good people. The rest of us tend to fall in between the rest. The problem is there are so many moderate people that want to not have conflict. So they allow really bad things to happen to keep the peace. And then it boils over, it becomes acceptable, and now we're back here. The problem is the people in the middle, the moderates, don't speak up. And we're here now.
I saw something like this today. I was reading something about, with the overturning of the decision in the pharma. I think it was in Georgia. They came down against Purdue. It was a Supreme Court that basically nullified the decision. And after all the work, after all the pushback, all the heightened awareness of it, and people are like, look, of course they want you to believe you have a shot at making a difference because and that speaking to the moderates, if you just work within the system,
you can't
work. And my son has been telling me this for years. Like, he gets so frustrated with me where I'm like, well, you have to work with what I've said this out loud. You have to work with what you have. And what we have are Democrats and Republicans who are willing to be bought by corporations and billionaires, and it's not going to move. I told you earlier, Lindsay LaPointe, when she was asked about health care in Illinois, she's like, well, there's not really a lot of energy to make any changes, right? And that's my state representative who I ran against because she sounds like not that her voice sounds like that, but I mean, everyone knows who I ran against. I don't think, but I mean, like, she's just, I mean, and whatever, I'm sure she's a perfectly fine person, pushing the button at the right vote, but she's not in there with her hair on fire and turning back corporate dollars, right?
The problem is we do not have enough elected officials that hair is on fire because the way our country, our government is set up is the folks that can afford to be in office full time are the people that don't give a damn about the working class because they're not working class anymore.
Yes,
they're lawyers, they're consultants, they're career politicians.
They're dating the publisher of Capital Facts. I'm sorry, what?
So
it's not like it's not public knowledge.
But no, that is the problem.
Yeah,
is we don't have enough working class folks in office. And I will get on my soapbox for 30 seconds and say I am so sick of moderate Democrats who brag about how they reach across the aisle and they work with these Republicans and they go to lunch and it's wonderful. And I'm starving. I can barely afford to keep the lights on. Yep. I'm worried about social injustice. I'm worried about getting pulled over and shot by a cop any moment now. Yeah. And you're talking about your Red Lobster date with a Republican that doesn't care about gun violence?
Yes.
Like, I want you to reach across the aisle and smack some sense into them, not reach across the aisle and invite them out to dinner. But we are not electing the right Democrats because Democrats are afraid of primaries. Democrats are afraid of conflict.
Yeah. They should all be primaried.
Yeah. Everyone
should be primaried from within our own party,
Absolutely.
which is why I friggin' ran. Like, don't you were appointed. Yes, I'm sorry, Dave.
I'll clear out with this one for you and Dwayne and Ken. We're not necessarily getting the best and the brightest. They don't exactly want to put their family into that giant fishbowl either.
Yeah.
You know, so listen, I'll let you guys go so somebody else can get some time here. But thanks for taking the call.
Nice talking to you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
Ken, I feel like you blushed during that. Look, if someone's going to intimidate me at my job, I can call them on it. I'm just saying.
No, that blush was no. But what I will say, because I mean, you've said stuff, so I'm going to say stuff too. When I was the former chair, I'm the former chair of the Democratic Party of DuPage, and that was a huge thing for me, is I had folks going, Ken, people are running against people. And you have to...
Democrats running against the chosen ones, the anointed. They're anointed Democrats.
No, you have to do something. And I said, what do... So you want me to be a fascist like you?
Yes.
And then it's like, name calling. Oh my God, clutch the pearls. It's like, no, we live in a democracy where people can run for office.
Yes.
And if the general public wants a switch, they will vote for the other person.
Yep.
Stop interfering in primaries. This is what turns Democrats off.
Yes.
This is why young people stay home, because the system is rigged. It's rigged. And even right now on the way in, I'm not saying anything negative about Nancy Pelosi. I heard she was in the hospital. I hope she gets well. God bless her. But with that said, I also read that she's trying to block AOC from ascending to a position. And it's like, this is the problem.
The oversight. She's going to chair the oversight committee.
And it's kind of like, so here we are after another huge loss, and we have a very elite politician with a 20-year-old haircut trying to keep a woman of color out of an office. It's irritating. Like, this is the problem.
Here we go again.
And now I'm done getting off the soapbox.
Well, he's right. I mean,
so irritating.
Institutionalized Democrats, the machine. We call
the machine.
What we call the machine in Illinois. When I said I was interested in running because there was a vacancy, right, and because I was friends with the rep, and I hadn't thought about running, I was encouraged to run by the rep at the time because our state senator had decided to take a position as a judge. So I was first encouraged, but then they start looking at the long game. Like, people start looking at what their power position is and how that plays out. They start gaming it out, and they realize, I have. And literally, I was told by the committeeman of the 45th Ward in his backyard, and he's like, all very proud of himself. He's like, I realized I had 47% of the weighted vote, and I had something here, like literally, like Rob Blagojevich, like he had something to have. He had leverage with it, and because remember he said this thing is effing golden, right? With the so, and I was told that if I ran for that seat, it would be political suicide. Like, I was intimidated by that, and even now in my job during the day, because of who the incumbent is and who she dates, I've gotten several calls to our office about things that I say about her. Oh, yeah. And here's the thing I want to ask that person. How much louder do you think I'm going to be if I get fired?
Well,
I mean, come on now. Well, let's check that one out.
Well, no, trust me. I've said things on social media, and I have a group of sophisticated ladies that like to monitor me and tone police me, and I'll get a text like, Ken, how could you say that on social media? Listen, lady. You don't like what I say, unfollow.
Yes.
Let me just block you.
Yeah, block me.
Make life easier. Let me just block you, and then I won't bother you, and you can go to your little high tea with your pearls, and I'll keep doing what I do, which is fighting for the people. Because at the end of all this political strife and struggle, the single mom at home that can't afford groceries doesn't give a damn about all this other stuff.
Yes.
The working people don't care about all this stuff. They want to know why they can't afford eggs, why is gas so expensive, why they can barely afford their property taxes, why they can't afford proper medical care. So while all these elite politicians are fighting for power, the actual people on the ground are suffering, and then we turn around and we say, why can't we get our people to the polls? Because you forgot about them and all your own BS. It makes me angry. It makes me angry.
Standing ovation. You can tell that me and Ken have been through some things.
Yeah.
We are in a support group. Sponsored by Kettle One and Lemons.
SqueakyWheel.com, everyone. SqueakyWheel.com. More. That's our support group. That should be our support group. The Squeaky Wheel.
Yeah, that's a good one.
We should.
The Squeaky Wheel.
Happy hour once a month.
I'm just saying. All right. Yeah, we got a lot of folks.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Let's take a break here. We're in studio with comedian, Emmy Award-winning Dwayne Kennedy. His show tonight is at 8 o'clock at the Lincoln Lodge. You can go to thelincolnlodge.com for more information about tonight's show and tomorrow night's show. Also go to youth-outlook.org for information about how you can support their mission to help families and individuals who are living their true selves and loving who they love.
Yes.
This is Ken Mejia Beal, treasurer of that organization. Also want to let folks know that tomorrow I will also be at there's an open house tomorrow for the folks that print the shirt that I'm wearing. It says STFU about Chicago. You don't even live here. It has the symbol of Superdog on it.
I was wondering what that was. I was like, who's Stu?
STFU. It's cursive. Young folks don't know how to read cursive anymore. STFU about Chicago. So Hairbrained is having their open house tomorrow, and you can buy some holidays. They also, well, I don't know if I want to talk to these guys about what they also make for women who are going through their time of the month, but maybe they make period panties that have graphics like Shark Week and The Shining, like the elevators are opening, and they're freaking fantastic.
Now I'm blushing.
Yeah. I mean, how brilliant is that?
Yeah, it's a good one.
I love that. That's awesome. So Hairbrained, you can find Hairbrained online, and Hairbrained, I'm trying to find their address. Tomorrow, they're on the northwest side. They're right over here on Montrose, and again, their open house is tomorrow, and I'll be there. I think their open house starts around 10 o'clock. I'll have more information for you in a few moments, because apparently I can't find their... Oh, here it is. Open house. I got it. Hairbrained open house from 10 to 2 on Saturday, and from 2 to 5 on Sunday. They're going to have all kinds of deals on shirts, undies, babies, onesies.
Oh, I'm in.
But not all of it is vulgar stuff like the things that I wear, like STFU. You don't even
that's
live
vulgar?
here. That's Hairbrained. I know. STFU.
That's a low bar.
We're taking calls when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, and we look forward to hearing from you. And KTNF AM 950. You guys have to text because you're hearing me later. You know how it works.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Making healthy choices at the grocery store can be overwhelming. And perhaps in no aisle is that more true than the baby food aisle. Turns out the confusion really isn't your fault. According to a study of more than 600 baby foods in 10 supermarket shelves in the United States, nearly 2/3 of the options are unhealthy. That's according to the World Health Organization's dietary guidelines. They had too much salt, they had too much sugar, they had not enough calories or protein. The worst offenders, according to the researchers, were pouches. Yeah, they're convenient, but children have to learn to chew as well, so they should be eating regular fruits, not pureed, sweetened things in a pouch, according to the American Academy of Pediatrics. Also keep in mind these blends are really much sweeter than real fruit, so kids from an early age are being taught to only like super sweet things. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
Seriously, someday I'm going to record the off-air during a commercials show. It's going to be called During the Break. We have two things. We got Squeaky Wheel and DuringTheBreak.com. Let's get to our calls. Max in North Carolina has been on hold for a bit. We want to talk about health care. Hey, Max, you're on with me and Ken Mejia, Beal, and Dwayne Kennedy. What's on your mind, my friend?
Hi. Okay, so anyways, you're talking about North Carolina and Raleigh, something about it. But back in when we had Pat McCrory in office, okay, we used to go up there and we had a thing that was called the Poor Man's March and Moral Monday rallies. And, we're trying to push health care for, everyone in North Carolina and better wages and, all that other stuff that, that Democrats or liberals or whatever tries to push. But, okay, so once we got rid of him, because we did work very hard every year. And, well, they were up there every Monday. I didn't go every Monday. I didn't go every month, but every year I was up there. And we had big rallies, and we're protesting and stuff. We finally got rid of him. We had him in Charlotte. We had him in Durham. We had him in Asheville. And once we got rid of him, the problem didn't go away. We still had the same problem that we had back then. Now it's even worse because now we have, I think it's 1 in every 4 persons in North Carolina is in debt, has health care debt.
Yeah.
And
I believe it.
And then we have 1 million still. I think there's 6 million people, somewhere around there, 6 million, 7 million. 1 million people do not have health care. 40% of them live in poverty. Okay, this is back somewhere around 2000. I was in Edenton. That's where the old Capitol was at. And we go around and we talk to people about, voting and stuff like that. And when we were over there, I was talking to this lady. She was like 64 years old. She had 3 jobs. Wow. Okay, and she needed an operation. Her husband died. She lived in a trailer, and she was still going to vote Republican. Okay, because she gave up. Because she gave up on the Democrats. And after going through all this stuff that I voted for Cornel West. After going through all this stuff that we went through, I came up today, this is my belief from some time ago, is what we have now are white primaries. And I don't know if you people, type it in, you'll see what white primaries are. It's when white people were only allowed to vote in the primary. That way the white people got the person that they wanted to vote. They wanted to be in office. And then after that, everybody else could get in and vote. And I was thinking, I bet you any money, if nobody voted, okay, because right now we have 40% of Americans don't vote anyways, at least 40%. So if everyone didn't vote and we just let these clowns just vote themselves into office, we'll have the same situation we had. No health care, low-paying jobs, more jobs, but more low-paying jobs, and wars. Okay, wars that according to the people that I spoke to, Democrat, Republican, Independent, and I go to the poorest places in North Carolina, that they basically do not support the war. They do not support the war in Ukraine, and the ones who were voting against Biden, that's what they were voting against. And then the other ones, they can't believe that Biden is giving a 2,000-pound bomb to drop on a child. And everybody's still acting like if nothing's happening. And this right here, this is a moral thing for all of us. And I don't know if anybody has ever read, but before every human who believes justice and decency, it's about humanity. And I'm talking about the Palestinian people, that we're paying. The Israelis could not do this, what they're doing, if we were not paying for it.
This was thank you so much for calling. I appreciate it, Max.
Thank you, Max.
And this is the thing that was so hard, right? Is that I agree with Max. This is a moral issue.
It is a moral issue.
And again, and he's right. Dropping bombs is
wrong.
And the thing was, the reasonable part of us was like, it's only going to be worse with them. That's the only moral ground we had at all, because we couldn't push to Democrat. I mean, like, there were Democrats inside that are like AOC and Jay Paul and a lot of them.
Yeah.
And Bernie Sanders.
Yep.
But that's like, we couldn't. I remember leaving the DNC, and a young woman was being asked on her way out how she felt about the speech, and she goes, it was basically pandering to college students to even mention Gaza. And we really only, I mean, that was the thing. We couldn't convince people that we're not doing great, but it's going to be worse. It was the only argument we had, really.
I was a co-host for a couple of fundraisers. I co-hosted a fundraiser for Representative Corey Bush from Missouri, and one for Jamal Bowman in New York. They came to Illinois, and the emails that I got from people were so negative because they were both very much anti-war. They were, and it was crazy to me because this is a moral issue. Mm-hmm. I am against bombing people. Like, at a baseline, I just don't, I think is wrong. Mm-hmm. So when we start to engage in conversations about who is okay to bomb and who is not okay to bomb, we're not doing our job as screw parties. We're not doing our good job. We're not doing a job as decent human beings.
Right.
Like, that's a decent human being thing. This whole, the Gaza, Israeli, is such a complicated issue because you can't really speak freely without being labeled something that you're probably not. So that's why, at the end of the day, we, as Americans, I believe morally have an obligation to, at the very least, use our voices to talk to our elected officials about where we think this is going wrong.
Yes.
I think at a bare minimum, we should have a right to say, listen, Congressman, whoever, I would like if my dollars did not go to bomb children.
Yes.
It doesn't make me any of those bad things, but I think at a bare minimum, I should be allowed to say that.
Right. And I think the argument that, and AOC made this case, was that you have the space to make those comments, those protests under a President Kamala Harris in a way that you might not under President Trump.
Oh, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
100% agree.
And that was, we couldn't convey that we could not get that across to a lot of young folks.
Well, I think it was the young folks, but I also think that as a party, collectively, we kind of thumbed our nose at the Muslim community.
Yeah.
I believe that the Muslim community was incredibly dismissed during this cycle. I think it is shameful. I was a part of so many groups where the protesters would show up and they would be like, well, we have to get security because the protesters. It's like, oh, so we, Democrats, are going to call armed police officers on protesters because they're against bombing children. That's what we're about to do? I'm not a part of this.
Before I take a break, and we call our guest who's running for a congressional district in Florida because of an appointment that Donald Trump has made. I do want to say I got a phone call. I don't know if I told you this when I was in Los Angeles. I think I told you I was in Los Angeles the night that they opened fire with rubber bullets on students at UCLA. And my son messaged me from his campus, and he goes, "Hey, is it okay if I get arrested tonight?"
Absolutely.
And no, because I was like, well, your dad's got your brother, and we got a lot going on right now.
Sorry, don't listen to me.
Could you wait till I come home? Could you wait till I come home?
Can you postpone the arrest?
Could you please wait? And I called it a local alderman. I was like, hey, do you know if anything's happening tonight? How much trouble is he in? I'm just saying. Yeah. At any rate, yes. Yeah, if I were home, I would 100%.
Yeah.
I'm with you, sweetie.
I'm all for it.
Go get arrested. Protest peacefully.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have bail money, so it might be in a day or two. At any rate, let's take a break here. When we come back, we're going to talk to Josh Weil, who's running for Florida's 6th district. That is going to be coming up on April 1st because the current Congressman Mike Waltz has been named as a cabinet position to that position by Trump. More in a moment on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal, and KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul. In studio with guest co-host Ken Mejia Beal, treasurer for Youth Outlook. Go to youth-outlook.org for more information. And Dwayne Kennedy, comedian Dane Kennedy. Wow! See? I was so close.
Dwayne Kennedy.
It was too fast. Comedian Dwayne Kennedy will be at the Lincoln Lodge this evening at 8 o'clock and tomorrow at 8 o'clock. You can go to thelincolnlodge.com for ticket information. It's weird when I talk like that. When I slow down, I'm very aware of it. It's a lot.
Oh, I think it's kind of cool.
I like it.
Dwayne will be at the show would go on forever if I talked like that.
Welcome to NPR.
Dwayne will be at the Lincoln Lodge. Go to thelincolnlodge.com for ticket information. Coming up in February, he'll be touring with Kamau Bell, who, along with Kamau, they are Emmy Award winners for their work on the United Shades of America on CNN. We'll be right back after this. I'll talk normally in a moment.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Cloudy tonight, a low temperature of 25 degrees with southeast winds at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Rain on Saturday with a high temperature of 38 and southeasterly winds at 15 to 30. Sunday, rain likely and a little bit of patchy fog with a high of 45 degrees. Monday, rain likely with a high of 51. Tuesday, sunny with a high temperature around 40. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 28.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Civic Tax Relief can help protect you from the IRS. Call Civic Tax Relief for free information now. Find out about the Fresh Start program that is now available through Civic Tax Relief. Civic Tax Relief's special tax hotline can help you discover all the relief programs available for free.
Just call 800-841-0908. 800-841-0908. 800-841-0908.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. They bring a variety of perspectives from diverse backgrounds, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Achieving this takes skill and expertise. They're tireless explorers, creatively discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, experimenting, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, and connecting with each other. Leading by example. Experience the unique joy of helping students thrive. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org, a campaign supported by the U.S. Department of Education, teach.org, and 1 million teachers of color.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's Progressive Talk from TuneIn.
We're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
Really, someday we will have the podcast during the break, conversations during the break.
I will need my lawyer present.
Same.
I will need my lawyer.
Same. Let's say, but we're going to talk to a candidate for the 6th Congressional. If they might be busy because we're also on a different time zone, so you never know. Sometimes I remember because I used to host an overnight show. There would be people who were like, "Oh, I thought you meant noon and not midnight." And the phone's not in service. Oh, okay. Well, then we might not be talking to this candidate. Let's get to let's see who's been on hold the longest. You know, I can tell who's been on hold the longest. Isn't it kind of fun? So that would be Roosevelt in Chicago. Hey, Roosevelt, you're the lucky winner of being the most patient. How you doing? Are you there, Roosevelt? Hi, Roosevelt. Unmute us if you'd like to join the conversation. I have everything. I see all my lights are working. Are your lights working? Push the microphone button. Okay, Roosevelt, my friend, I'll come back to you in just a moment. Sometimes Roosevelt's doing other
washing
things.
dishes.
Washing dishes, having dinner.
doing
driving
his taxes.
He's
Let's get to yes?
Renaissance man.
He's a Renaissance man. Let's get to Matt, who wants to talk about the farmers of America. What's on your mind?
Hello, folks. Hello, Patty.
Hi.
Hello.
You know, ever since about a month ago now, I've been getting progressively more and more pissed off at the absolute stupidity of not only the people who drive in the city of Chicago, but the people who voted for this. I'm trying to not get in trouble with the FCC for Patty. This delightful human being who may or may not call himself a dictator. So
I like how you really hit the
best.
dictator part of that. That's right. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it.
That was well done.
But to the farmers of America, I have a question for you. How do you spell the word stupid? Because I spell it farmers of America.
Wow.
You people may be, more than anybody else, the dumbest people to vote for this man. For the simple reason that he's going to obliterate your business more than anybody else. And we sat there and we told you for 8 years that he was going to obliterate you. Oh, he won't do that. Oh, well, he's gonna get rid of our workforce. Oh my God! Why didn't anybody tell us? You're idiots, and you deserve every single thing that comes your way. Every lost wage, every shut down field, everything you can't fix because you don't have enough people working on your farms. All of it. You people disgust me. Why? Because you're the only ones with any damn sense, and you still wouldn't listen to anybody but yourself. You're morons. But, Patty, I do hope you enjoy your weekend. I do miss hearing you, and well, thank you. Love you a lot.
Love you too. Matt just like, he's going to walk off into the weekend.
He's
like
right.
That was
a good one. He's right.
That's also another thing of tunnel vision. Yeah. I think everyone, you can warn, everyone warned everyone about Trump. But now that he's actually doing what he said he was going to do, there's people like, oh, no, this is going to impact me.
Well,
yeah. Congratulations.
Well, and here's the thing. I had not even heard that news story that was at the top of the hour. I let the AP run today because it was the first broadcast I have heard where they have not talked about felon Trump in, like, I don't know how long, because the top of the news story, did you hear this? The Texas AG, right, Paxson, is suing a New York doctor for providing abortion pills across state lines. This is broke at 4:50. He's filed a lawsuit alleging she violated state law by prescribing abortion medication to Texas via telehealth appointments. Both surgical and medication abortions are banned in Texas, and this will be the first lawsuit to see what happens when state abortion laws conflict with federal laws.
You know, that's why we have to codify everything.
Yes.
I don't think...
But that's the thing. But again, this goes back to moderate Democrats.
Yes.
Just operating with, like, you know, and also...
I hang out with the Republicans. We have a great time. Great. People are dying. Congratulations.
And sending out scary emails.
Yes.
You better donate now, otherwise they're going to take away our abortion rights. Right. Like, they ran... Like, that was how they made money.
Yep.
And did not codify when we had the opportunity.
And we should have. I'm you know... I've been called, and I'll own this. I think at one point in my life I was a moderate. I'm gonna say maybe at one point, because I was young and I didn't know any better. I am so not a moderate anymore. That because I can see that my moderation was really just my way of trying to keep the peace.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
I am here to disturb the peace now, and I no longer care. Maybe it's coming with age. I don't know, but it's like, guys, I don't want to be friends with people that are literally laughing while we have women and childbearing people dying. Abortion is not a bad word. Abortion is a necessary medical procedure. And I also believe in America, the land of the free, people should be allowed to create a family when and how they want to. And if they want to.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, this is, like, the fact that we're talking about it in 2024 is insane to me. Like, if you don't want an abortion, don't have one. Like, don't have one. My God.
Well, two things can be true. You all can be right and still be crazy.
Fair.
Yeah.
Let me get
I mean,
to...
not you all. Us.
Collectively.
Yes.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Living in the crowd.
Well, did you hear that Trump said yesterday, I don't know if you can really do anything about grocery prices.
Yep.
So there you have it.
And
Wait
you
a minute.
never could.
But you said, and that's the thing, when you appease and appeal to fanatics, you better give that fanatic every single thing that they want and expect, because one thing less than the thing that they expected from you, and then they turn on you.
Yes.
And then they turn on the government, and they go back to climbing walls and throwing bricks and whatever they do.
You mean going on the tourists? The tours of the tours.
They
the
launch
wonderful tour.
They launch a massive tourist stop.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tourist.
Oh boy. Let's take a break and continue our conversations. Let me see what I'm trying to find out if we have the information for our guests we were supposed to have. Hopefully we'll be able to reschedule. I'll send this along to Lady B. We'll see if this number works, and we'll take our calls from Roosevelt and Jeanette in just a moment. We're in studio with Ken Mejia Beal, treasurer for Youth Outlook. Go to youth-outlook.org for information about their mission to help families and individuals who are expressing themselves the way they feel the most themselves, really, and loving who they love. Dwayne Kennedy, being himself, at the Lincoln Lodge tonight. Go to thelincolnlodge.com for ticket information for tonight's show and tomorrow night's show. More after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota. See, I slowed down so I can get it all in there.
Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive.
People who listen to WCPT, you are bright, you are interested, you are interesting, and you are well informed. It is a gift for me to be here, and I appreciate it every day. We obviously couldn't do this without you.
Joan Esposito, weekday afternoons 2 to 5 on WCPT 820. WCPT replay.
With us this morning is professor, author, and human resources management consultant Dante King.
Donald Trump represents everything that America values and stands for. It's a culture that is rooted and functions upon a foundation of narcissism. It does. And I think that we all, to a degree, are socialized with that. And I think when we look at someone like a Donald Trump, he represents the narcissism to its fullest extreme. He represents the celebrity that we value. He represents the economics of the equation. That's something that we're taught to strive for and see that we value highly. He represents the whiteness, the maleness. And I just think we have to take an inventory of that and what our standards and values really are as a society.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
For the longest time, it was hard for me to even get out of the house, much less do a backside 180. It took me a bit to understand what was going on, but eventually I learned I had anxiety. Now I'm getting help for it and feeling so much better. Sure, some days are better than others, but the whole thing about getting out of the house, that's not really an issue anymore.
Mental health care is working to see what it can do for you at mentalhealthcareworks.org. A message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
We are so thrilled we were able to connect with our guest, Josh Weil, who's joining us on the line, who's running for the 6th Congressional District in Florida. Josh, thank you so much for joining us. You're on the air with Ken Mejia Beal and Dwayne Kennedy. Thank you so much for running, first of all. How are you doing tonight?
Yes, thank
you. Good. It's been a long week. First full week of the campaign. I've got one more week till my leave of absence kicks in. So, it's like 2 full-time jobs. But it's been great. Exhausting, but great.
Well, tell us a little bit about your background and what you're taking time off to focus on your campaign and rising to public service.
I work in public education. I've been in public schools since 2012, math teacher, science teacher. The last few years I've been in school leadership, instructional coaching, student services, MTSS, a lot of hats because every year we have, fewer allocations. So a couple of years ago, 3 different people wore these hats. Now, I wear 3 of them. But really, one of my main jobs is I support teachers and I track all of our data, keep an eye on all the kids across the school, how they're trending, performing, and what type of support or interventions, what we need to do to help them when things aren't working.
I love your website already. I'm sorry, continue. I don't want to interrupt you because
thank you.
I love the idea, the message of I'm not running against someone. I'm running for you.
I love that.
That's exactly what I told people when I was running for my community. And so tell us a little bit about what was that flash moment for you? You were like, this is a moment I need to step into the field of battle.
So a couple of years ago, I wanted to get involved. I got, like most progressives, tired of feeling like I was picking the better of 2 bad choices. I wanted candidates who supported the things that I knew we needed. I wanted candidates who supported Medicare for all. I wanted candidates who were progressive and wanted to fight for the people, social programs, things that would benefit the community. I wanted to see, $80 billion go towards improving schools and eliminating homelessness, not, sending bombs to a nuclear superpower so that way they could commit genocide. And I started a U.S. Senate campaign, built it up in my garage, got a lot of great young volunteers, organizers involved, and I spent 18 months traveling the state, visiting all 67 counties, working with people everywhere from Pensacola to Miami, and making a lot of great connections, getting out to voters, spending a lot of time talking to people. One of the big things I learned was that in our rural counties here in Florida, they're desperate to talk to someone, to have their questions answered. Here in Florida, the state Democratic Party has really abandoned, what we call red counties, in terms of supporting down ballot candidates, in terms of, investing in the communities and getting out and building a voter base. And so the Republican Party may be a lot of things, but they're not stupid. When we don't invest resources, they don't invest resources. And, I'd visit some of these places and, people would, be doing meet and greets in parks and things like that. And Republicans would come up to me and they'd be like, I tried calling my state rep, my state senator, my U.S. congressman, my city council. Like, no one returns my calls. No one will talk to me. Like, it doesn't make sense. And most of the stuff with politics doesn't make sense to them because they've been fed 24 hours of misinformation for the last 2 decades. And, they're desperate to, have things make sense, to, understand or to, why it isn't working, why they're not getting support, why their tax dollars don't benefit them, why they still have these problems even though they keep voting for people who are saying that their lives will get better. And so when this race came around, when we saw that Waltz was being nominated for or appointed National Security Advisor, I had all those connections and I started doing some pre-organizing, meeting with people and, discussing, what do you think? Do you think this is a race for me? And, I got a lot of great feedback. A lot of people who said that, this District 6 is one that hasn't even had a Democrat in it half the time for the last few cycles. When it does, it's very poorly funded, very poorly supported, and needs someone who can get out and talk to Republicans, which, the bench doesn't go deep enough for us. We don't have enough Democrats who are good at that. We don't have enough candidates who know how to get out and, talk outside of our insular circles. So, I thought I had a couple months. DeSantis has done nothing but drag his feet every time there's been a need for a special election here in Florida. But during Thanksgiving week, Monday, 4:59 p.m., right before end of business, he put out a press release that, the ballots would finalize in a little under 11 days. And, you know, if anyone wanted to run in this race, you had to collect thousands of petitions or raise $10,000, and God be with you. But we did it. You know,
Congratulations.
We filed and got started the next day. Didn't even have enough time to use Act Blue, which definitely hurt some of the fundraising because people were skeptical of a Google form with a PayPal link on the back end. But, you got to collect your reporting. You got to collect your reporting information before you take their money. And really, we used a lot of blue sky, just, you know, reaching out to people, building it up, you know, and it honestly, it never even felt stressful because there was just steady money. It was, you know, $750 to, you know, $1,200 a day coming in, and we were able to write the check and qualify for the ballot, and now I'm running for U.S. Congress.
That's amazing.
That's great.
Have there been Democrats running at all against Waltz in the last several years?
In the last cycle, Bishop James Stockton ran. He had a campaign that over the course of the entire cycle, we've already matched what he raised in the last 2 weeks. So it was not there was not a lot of money. There was not a lot of support there. Unfortunately, you know, he's a great man, but getting your message out ain't free. And, you know, we want to have big events. We want to be able to draw people out so we can talk to them. And, you know, you need to raise money to do that. The cycle before, no one ran. The cycle in 2022, we had three of our U.S. congressional seats in Florida went unopposed, and Republicans walked right in.
Wow.
And District 6 was one of them. Yeah, over the last 4 years, they haven't had there hasn't been a contest there. There hasn't been anyone building that community.
And are you getting support? Well, first of all, are there any other Democrats running in the primary, or is it just a runoff election?
I do have a primary, which has actually been a little bit of a blessing in disguise. You know, we didn't know if anyone else was going to be running. You know, I was in communication with our state party chair and head of campaigns, and you know, I know that they didn't have anyone because about a day before we went and filed, I was getting texts from the state chair like, "Hey, you got the money and you're going to be on the ballot, right? Just wanted to make sure." And then turned out 2 other people came in, so people who are not, you know, single parents living on a school teacher salary, you know, who can just decide to write the check themselves if they want to. But there doesn't seem to be an organized campaign there. You know, there doesn't seem to be much going on. We feel pretty confident that, you know, what we're building is going to move pretty quickly and smoothly through this primary. But the great thing that I had forgotten about is until, you know, when we activated our Act Blue earlier this week, we're setting the donation limits, and it tells me that, you know, the maximum amount is $6,600 for an individual contribution. And I'm like, wait a minute, it's $3,300 is the federal. And then I remembered, no, if you have a primary, you can collect $3,300. You have 2 elections, so you can collect $3,300 from someone for the primary and $3,300 for the general. So it's actually opened it up for us where, you know, top donors are able to give a little bit more because we have this contest coming up January 28th. So it's been a little bit of a, you know, it seemed like one extra obstacle, but it's been a little bit of a blessing in disguise.
Well, again, congratulations on running, and thank you for taking up the mantle and charging on the field. I want to encourage folks to visit Josh Weil, that's WEIL.us. Again, Josh Weil, WEIL.us. For those of you living in Florida in the 6th Congressional, please pay attention to this race, but we need to pay attention to this nationwide because this is a path to having more power in Congress. And I know Congresswoman Delia Ramirez is listening, and would love to have somebody in there also fighting the battle. Josh, we'd love to have you on again soon. We're almost at the end of our show. Is there anything you want to make sure our audience knows before we let you go?
Yeah, please, you know, support. This is a race that, you know, margin in the U.S. House is incredibly narrow. It's 220 to 215. We're going to have 3 to 4 special elections. If we sweep them all or get 3 out of 4, we actually take back the House. And special elections are where this can happen, especially in red districts. We saw it in Alabama in 2018. We saw it a couple of years later in Alaska. This is, there's lower voter turnout, which is not something Democrats usually like because we say when we vote, we win. But when you're in a district that has a, red advantage on registration, then, cuts it down and makes it an open ball game. So, I've been telling people, I'm not here to give, this guy who is just vile piece of work. I'm not here to give him a fight.
Right.
We're here to win.
Yes.
We're going to win this district.
That is perfect.
Go get him, Josh.
I can't win all 4 of these, but I'm going to take care of my end on the other. And if we can support the other campaigns as well, we will take back the House. Hakeem Jeffries will be Speaker.
Excellent. Thank you so much again, Josh. We love that you're running joshweil.us. That's WEIL.us. Go get him. We'll talk to you again very soon. We want to help you get across the finish line.
Thanks,
and get this done. Absolutely. Take care. I want to apologize to Roosevelt and Jeanette. I have to run because we've gone over Ken Mejia Beal, treasurer for Youth Outlook. Go to youth-outlook.org and support the work that they do there. And Dwayne Kennedy will be at the Lincoln Lodge tonight, thelincolnlodge.com. Good night, everybody. Randy Rhodes up next, followed by Matt McNeil. Love you, Lady B.
Whether you get pulled over or get into a crash, drinking and driving will change your whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. Friday prayers in Syria's capital.